And now, Poland Prime Minister Donald Tusk has announced Poland will launch an investigation into possible links between Epstein and Russian intelligence. Foreign Minister of Poland Radoslaw Sikorski joins me. Nice to see you, sir. Welcome to the United States.
Hello.
Nice to see you. By the way, I love Poland. It's a great country to visit.
Thank you.
It's been nice. First of all, why are you here?
I came at the invitation of Secretary Rubio to a conference, which is to set up a group to do with critical minerals. As you know, we had some rationing of magnets and then an attempt to restrict the supply of critical minerals. And the US is rallying around allies to see whether we can get the supply of these things from secure sources.
Well, it seems, let me turn now to this issue about Jeffrey Epstein, which I'm sure you know the United States has been discussing ad nauseum for quite some time, especially since the release of documents a week ago. Now you've got Norway and the UK. Your prime minister is investigating whether Epstein had tied to Russian intelligence.
Well, also whether Polish citizens may not have been either culpable or harmed by this person. It's a huge material, and of course our justice minister is in the lead. We will just support their efforts. But as you know, there are reports in credible British newspapers, in the Daily Telegraph, in the Daily Mail, making this suggestion. You know, it's very difficult to make a judgment what these images on the internet of, for example, Epstein's visa application, whether this is true, but if it is, his sponsors look suspicious. We need to clarify this.
Well, Poland certainly is an interesting geographical position in Europe. You've got Ukrainian border, and Poland's been very generous in opening the door to Ukrainians trying to escape the war. I've been there a couple times, and at that region, you know, what's the story of the Ukrainian refugees in Poland? Do you expect them to stay, or is it a problem on your economy, or how does it fit in?
Well, we are proud of having expressed our solidarity with the victims of Putin's aggression. We received 1 million Ukrainians, mostly women and children, without a single refugee camp, because we invited them.
I guess they're displaced persons. You're putting them in different.
No, we welcomed them into our homes. I had 12 people in my own home for several weeks, and now they're doing quite well. Most of them, they work, they pay taxes, they contribute to our pension system. Obviously, there are some tensions, but on the whole, it's a story of solidarity, a word that is precious to us.
Well, I mean, when I was there, I was quite impressed with how kind I thought that the Polish people were to the Ukrainians, because they looked pretty forlorn getting off the train.
Because we see ourselves in their shoes. You know, Russia has invaded us many times. Russia is committing war crimes, attacking civilian infrastructure, heating plant, an electricity plant in the middle of a severe winter. And, you know, if Ukraine fell, we would be next.
Yeah, indeed you would. And you have been next before in 1939 when Germany.
And many times
before that. No, that's why I say it's a very interesting position to be in geographically in Europe, because you're so vulnerable.
Yeah, and that's why we count on President Trump to get Ukraine a fair peace that doesn't reward the aggressor. And we feel that to get there, we should all, Europe and the United States, increase the pressure on the aggressor.
Now, speaking of President Trump, I want to throw to some sound of President Trump earlier today.
Robert and Linda.
Hi, Mr. President.
Hi, Mr. President. How are you?
Well, how are you both, okay?
We're nervous.
We're very nervous.
I know. You should be, because your son is going to get the highest honor that you can have. There's no higher honor than the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Thank you so much,
gosh.
President, Mr. President. You have no idea the happiness we have.
That may seem random to you, but that's the highest honor that you get. And the reason he's getting that honor is he died, and shows the solidarity between our two countries. He died while saving the life of a Polish soldier in Afghanistan on August 28th, 2013. And, you know, it speaks a lot of our friendship.
My heart goes out to the family, and I'm happy that at least they have this, the high honor. And of course, in Poland, we appreciate what their son did for our soldier. But I hope that makes everyone in the US realize that we rallied round. We went with you to Iraq, a brigade. We also rallied round after 9/11 voluntarily under Article 5 for the first time, and sent a brigade to a tough province in Ghazni, where 44 of our soldiers died.
Yeah, but as I said, it's been it's a wonderful relationship that our two countries share, and it's it's a very big honor, and we're proud that our country could do that. What's going to happen in Ukraine?
It depends on what we do in Europe. We now pay for the war and for the sustenance of the Ukrainian state. We buy commercially US weapons and deliver them to Ukraine. We've also extended a 90 billion euro loan to Ukraine to sustain them for another 2 years. So we think the US negotiators have actually quite strong cards. Putin has lost over 1 million dead and wounded.
Does he care?
He has to care to some extent, because it's that's never popular, and opportunity costs of this war are already $1 trillion for the Russian economy. Russian economy is smaller than Italy's. It is not infinite. If we put up more sanctions, eventually he'll have to recalculate.
Have you ever met your counterpart, Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia?
Many times.
What do you think about him?
He is, first of all, no longer a real foreign minister. He doesn't shape policy.
He's been there forever.
He's now more of a spokesman for the Kremlin. And my impression is that he is tired with his own cynicism.
Interesting. Anyway, Foreign Minister of Poland, very nice to see you, sir. Thank you. I hope you come back. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.